After a needed 72-hour hiatus, this week's Article 15 will go back with the series and close that out attempt to with the folly of the modern day dinner horse. Let's get into it. Welcome back. It's your man Ronin with another one. And it was a needed time off. There was a lot of things that were going on offline to where I had to really clear my head and give the best part of myself to my product. So, with that being said, to all the veterans across the board, salute to you guys. Hope you guys are doing okay. Um, taking a note and be very vigilant about what's going on out here. Move accordingly. Hoping that you're safe, sound, have everything that you need. We're getting everything you need. To all subscribers, both new and old, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for future videos. And as I'm still learning the process of becoming a better content creator, taking my time, understanding my faults, moving accordingly, and building on that. So, that being said, we are continuing the series every week. It's always the Article 15, which is a non-judicial punishment. But since I'm the commanding officer of my life right now, and I'm not in the service, you can NJP these nuts. So, with that being said, let's get into the whole thing. The folly of the modern day dinner whore, part 4 out of 5. Let's do this. Sue, as always, no respect, no cooperation, no service. 4 things we're going to approach in this conversation. And do understand that the following views, comments, opinions, and thoughts are mine and mine alone, but they tend to be shared by others. But I'm going to say this in my own respective way and express it the same way. So those with a weak constitution or figure that I curse too much or whatnot, you can catch this on the replay and dissect it, or if you have the stomach for this. Let's begin. Viewer discretion is advised. Number 4. Either you are puppets for the Sisterhood of Failure or the derelict order of Tender Dick Templars. Now, let us analyze this for a minute. And I have some very eccentric sayings out here, but I'm going to start with the fellas first. What is a Tender Dick Templar? You might ask. Glad you asked. It's a noun. A sexually codependent zealot who worships punani, or pussy. Willing to wage war with others, especially himself, in the pursuit or defense of an often one-sided fetish. Now I'll speak on this briefly. These are the little Jonathans that run around out here right now, or even in the midnight hour, taking out their resources and prostituting their purpose for a piece of ass. A shout out to my brother Chief Stay Sleep for the term Jonathan, because it is appropriate. It's a deep-seated issue, but that is the basic modus operandi that Jonathan has. But there's more. To the ladies, edgeless oracles, the musty muses of misdirection who lead women astray via SDS, which I'll get to in a second, aimless advice, emotional peer pressure, and bald-headed hoe tactics. Now, these are the chicks who suffer from, as my brother Sheep would say, battered box syndrome, or these refurbished thoughts who want to get ran through, beat down, and all of a sudden they have this epiphany that, you know what, all that crazy shit wasn't good, so to speak. Now, granted, there's circumstances that lead to individuals to become this, but you have the notorious ones the ones who are outright hypocrites or hypocristians, depending on who you talk to. These are the individuals that like to get out here and do all this goofiness. For example, they like to use sign language, the use of shame, insults, the need to be right, and guilt to arrogantly absolve themselves from needed correction, accountability, and blunt force reality. Now, both Tender Dick Templars and Ezra's oracles walk the same path. They use these tactics. And when they use these tactics, unfortunately, you have people who will pay unnecessarily to keep the goofiness going. This is where you have individuals who get enamored by these internet idols or out in the public sector to where they are more they're in a relationship with the personality rather than the individual who's showing you exactly what and who they are. But as they always say, toilet water seeks its own level. So with that being said, we always have a chance and a choice. When we wake up in the morning, what are we saying to ourselves? What do we have planned for the day, moment to moment? Does it promote to our vision or does it blur it? When you have these individuals who exercise sign language, both male and female, all that does is show you the equivalent of someone not just sitting at your table, making unnecessary demands, but putting their funky ass Dorito Ranch smelling feet on your table. They don't respect themselves, they don't respect your space, which leads you to question yourself. Why is this person even here? Are they worth my time? Are they worth the toll? Are they worth the trouble? And how much threat do they bring? Whatever happened to vetting these people out versus allowing these dirty ass derelicts to bring their bullshit to your table and then you have the unmitigated gall to complain about it. Now, number 3, you never have your own mind. Cockeyed codependency. Now, a prime example for the fellas. Now, granted, a woman can be this too. It just varies a little, quite a bit. But when you suffer from cockeyed codependency, when you don't have a mind of your own, when you prostitute your resources, who you are, what you're about, in the pursuit of cheap relevance, this demotes you to this, to being a spiritually impaired / impoverished mule of provision. When you get down to the crust of the conversation of simp, this is what it really is. It's an individual who does not stand for anything solid. If you remember the movie Get Out, and when that dude was in his little mind floating in there, that's what a simp is. They'll have no ground to stand on, and they're just floating aimlessly through life. They exist, they're not living. And it's the same on weenies. They either get in these ATMs and they're proud to have a woman rub her back, or you have a chick who's run around and allow some derelict lay up in the house, nursing a homosexual to health. Things to where she's always complaining about her girlfriends too, but she's not going to do shit about it until she has to. These are the grounds of being a spiritually impaired or impoverished mule of provision. Instead of people bringing fruit or food to your table, you're trying to nourish squatters, spiritual squatters. This is where you get your energy vampires from, and all the like. And granted, from personal experience, within 24 hours, I know I've been offered some things from these energy vampires. But I'll address that another time. When it comes down to it, you gotta be honest with yourself. But fellas, and to an extent ladies, there's a difference between esprit de corps, the spirit of the corps, that pride, that valor, that motivation that drives you to give your very best, and not just from you to yourself and through yourself, but to your peers. You have the opposite of it, esprit de bitch. Now, unfortunately, this is prevalent in such spaces, both on and offline, but this is what it is. The debilitating spirit of rugged individualism. I could end it there, but I'm going to go on. The obstruction of masculine growth, development, standards, and morale. Toxic doses of anti-masculine representation and expression. In turn, outright bitch asses. You have individuals who have a faint idea what on-site behavior means and entails. Most will get online and have this lust for keyboard courage, living vicariously through internet idols and not promoting growth within themselves. We used to have a saying about showing your work, but since that was not profitable or beneficial to some people, they dismissed it. But so you know that little hash between the date you were born and the date you left this earth. It all depends on what weight you put into it. Have your actions, words, and intent worked in concert to the point where people remember you or deem you unmentionable? We always wake up with a chance and a choice to right the wrongs that we've committed or be buried with them. Now, number 2, you choose to remain as a willing slave to both fear and fail porn. Now, this is a phrases I've coined into the lexicon, speaking on people's dependency on negative behavior or mindset, something for confirmation bias, to justify the excuses to entertain procrastination longer than it needs to be. These individuals who get into the whole niche market of what I call network necrophilia. Now, granted, technology has been a boon for us, but in many cases it's shown a lot of our frailties, a lot of our devious behaviors and associations. But here's what network necrophilia is, the promotion, defense, acceptance, and or inability to sever ties to spiritually bankrupt people, narratives, antics, and initiative, i.e., shame, blame, and explain. A niche market where accountability dodgeball is monetized in exchange for organic problem solving and forward progress. Now, this is the little bullshit hustle that has long past its expiration date. This is where we get out here with the same old nonsensical tropes, same old nonsensical narrative. And this is the staple and the heartbeat of conflict creators. Individuals that thrive on conflict, and when they can't do anything constructive or stand on anything of substance and lead by example, you know they're kind of dry. They're just going along to get along. This is a niche market where incel income is prevalent. It's not the fact that it's limited to sex or access to it. It's the fact that on a grand scale, incel income is what you're being viewed as in the world. You're economically sterile. You don't have the things you need. And in many cases, you don't have a culture. You don't have a direction. And when you look at it, this is why you have ethnic outposts rather than thriving communities like other people do. In spite of their respective issues and problems, they still have communities. You don't. Now, what's another thing that pertains to women, especially? Stinky dildo statistics. The science of emotionally skewed ghost data that intentionally demonizes targeted demographics, i.e., edgeless analytics. The leading tools used by stinky dildo statisticians. This is the staple or the language of what a lot of these edgeless oracles use. Some believe that it is beneficial to abort black babies, black male babies. What they are knowingly promoting is genocide. Now, these same shitbirds who promote, cash apps, support, share, even entertain such individuals. These are the lemmings who are intentionally following the rest of them off the cliff of existence, nor relevance. Same thing with these individuals that get on the whole thing about punani politics. There are far more important things going on in the world, which we're seeing a conflict at the moment. You got individuals who are not promoting the needed conversations we need to have as adults. There's always these stale, bland, mundane circle jerks online. Panels going on for 8 hours, hell, even days, talking about nothing. Now, don't knock on the ones who do have those endurance streams, who actually have substantive conversations, food for thought, and nourish the mind as well as the people with their content. I'm talking about these individuals who go out here, tap dance, and throw shit in there like a monkey cage. That's all they do. On the other side of that, there's the male version. Ashy dick analytics. The gross misuse of data/statistics to establish both confirmation bias and punani political dependency to poorly excuse the lack of masculine growth and productivity. I will say this about ashy dick analytics. There are individuals who claim to be red pill, in which they bastardize the term, actually demonize it. What it means to be red pill, it's a play on the movie The Matrix, which I'm playing to the slow crowd. When you allegedly you take the red pill, which is the bitter truth, not just of yourself, but reality in general, it is dependent upon what you do with that truth. A lot of us like to say the world is screwed up. And granted, in many aspects, yes, they're right. What most of them refuse to accept is what is going on in the world within here and here. As I've always said, if your actions, words, and intent don't work in concert, bullshit. And see, there is too much of a good thing, you start becoming codependent too. To be red pill is to see things as they are, to see yourself and move accordingly. Some things are definitely going to be uncomfortable. Some have a disgusting feel of failure, but you have, if anything, if you're going to fail forward. In many instances in my life, it has not been an easy life to this point. I understand what the red pill is. Granted, initially there's that rage, feeling that you've been deceived and whatnot. But in time, you take ownership of what you can do, what you've been through. And that is key to help breaking those generational curses. See, think of internally as they're a forge. You have to get all the impurities out. Work on yourself. Work on the things around yourself. Hell, even work on the peers that surround you. And that's the difference between being legit red pill versus these red jelly beans out here who are soft by design and choice. They can't take that much pressure. If you take too much, this is where you start seeing the cavities, and not just their conversations, but in them spiritually. Even worse, if you take something that's supposed to take that is recommended by prescribed doctors and done right, when you abuse that, this is the prelude to you becoming a junkie. And there's too many failed pookies out here who are hooked on these pills. A bunch of pill heads. Some of us get to the point where, you know what? I've taken enough. I need to move in this direction. How can I change my diet? Which plays into these ashy dick analytics. I don't make a point, nor others like myself, to quote statistics, to intentionally ignore the importance of the statistics in order to become a statistic. Try saying that 2 times. Did you ever learn the lessons that put you in certain situations, put you around certain people? If you haven't, you can't call yourself red pill. You're just a junkie. You're an addict. And you see what a lot of these junkies and addicts will do for that next fix. This is why ashy dick analytics is not appropriate for a man who's looking to develop himself. Nor is it good for a woman to use sneaky deal statistics to mature into her femininity. It's one thing to take the information, understand it, and maneuver to where you don't become a statistic. It's another thing to be dependent on these numbers, to remain stuck in being a zero, an outright loser. And number one, your refusal to forgive, heal, trust, and get your scary ass outside is costing you big time. Now, before I go into it, I need you guys to understand something I'm going to say. Now, I'm going to take my time writing this book and remind myself on a regular day basis when I start writing. Make these needed footnotes to move in a proper fashion. An educated, lame, nor effective leader cannot occupy the same time nor space effectively. This is a shot to you internet idols who have a passion to acquire incel income, keeping a lot of these males and females sterile or infertile, to create actual thriving communities, to become productive men and women. Those who are immersed in this whole bullshit agenda war, not gender, it's an agenda, to keep them stagnant while you guys are trying to recoup the losses of your finances because of the bullshit you guys promote. That's the difference between content creators versus conflict creators. You need to properly vet the individuals who are throwing either information to you or bullshit at you. You gotta know the difference between the two. Some individuals haven't been outside. They stay mired in their little possum dens, their little panel possum dens. And some don't even know the difference between it's raining or someone pissing on them. Number two, on that part, it always takes a pussy to expose and control one. Now, this is a phrase I coined back in late 2007, and it still proves itself today. You got guys in this space and outside of it who use ashy dick analytics as their shield. This is where karma starts kicking in. What happens when you have that woman sit on your lap? You can feel the heat of a nice little box of hers creeping up across your pelvis. You can literally smell the anticipation. It's sweet. What are your numbers going to do then? With all that shit that you said you stand for, where's it at? when you're melting like butter on insertion, or the thought of it. What happens to you ladies? You get in that moment and the guy's applying that pressure. And while your mind is focused on, him applying that pressure, you remain ignorant of the stress and life's pressure being applied to you by dealing with certain individuals. Both genders need to vet properly. This is why we have the living abortions that walk around out here in this space and abroad, speaking ill to us and not talking to us, showing us ourselves. That way we can fix ourselves. Again, an educated lane nor an effective leader cannot occupy the same time or space effectively. Personally, I don't give a shit about how many letters are behind your name. I want to know the individual behind that name. Who are you? What are you about? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? I want to see what's beneath the crust of an individual. I'm not in there by the crusty son of a bitch or the spirit that they put out there. You gotta look into the internal. The external is cool. That's why I don't personally get too excited about a chick who's out there got the cakes and everything like that. Yeah, that's visually appearing, but what do you really need to see? Same thing with the woman. Yeah, that guy's got these resources, blah, blah, blah. He appears to have everything else, but what's really going on with him? What is he trying to overcompensate for? That's the difference between men and males, women and females, solid people of principles and purpose versus shitbirds. But getting back to number one, your refusal to forgive. The thing is, I get now why brothers like Joel Williams mentioned to it and others, why forgiveness is important. It's not for them, it's for you. You have to learn how to forgive yourself and put yourself in a certain situation. Certain choices and chances we've given people has ultimately scarred us. So we have to treat our lives, our house, our spirit as an infirmary. We have to take that time to forgive ourselves for getting that situation. Now, forgiveness does not mean to forget. That's a dumbass. I can forgive a person. And in many instances, you can forget about us entertaining you doing that shit again. It's not holding a grudge. It's a footnote in history, understanding that this person is made available to screw you over again like that, depending on the offense. You must pardon 1,000. However, you learn how to forgive certain people when they earn your trust consistently. You can build from there, which leads to the healing part. Some of us are healing from scars physically, but more of the deeper scars are psychologically, spiritually, social. Then you go to the trust. It isn't about trusting other people. More importantly, it's trusting yourself. And that's why a lot of people will entertain relationships over relationships. In such situations, you need that trust to be that glue, to weld that metal together so you can guys float through those storms. In relationships, you're bound by waste. And you'll float. But while you're degrading yourselves over time because that water and a lot of that shit is falling off, you're on borrowed time. You weren't built for the test of time. And I'm going to tie this in using my example. When I've had 3 consecutive knee surgeries, I figured, hey, once the serum wore off, I can sit there and just walk this off. As soon as I put my legs out on the floor and try to stand up, I fell and that shit hurt. And I learned that lesson. You know what? You just can't walk this off. You got to start working on healing yourself. Now, granted, I had to forgive myself because I needed headstrong at that point. I had to remember you need that time to recover. And though they issued me some crutches, but what I didn't like about crutches, as in life, in physical, in this conversation, after a while you start hurting because I don't like the idea of being lame. Put you out of position. And the crutches could be too high, especially with my knee. It didn't feel right using my excuses, using all these things that brought me to that point as a crutch, because I can't heal properly. So what I did is I asked for a cane, and I had to use my own strength and a sense of support, 3 points of contact. Being the Most High, being my peers, and trusting myself. Again, over time, I was able to heal properly because I took those needed steps. You can look to the Most High for answers and direction. He understands. When it comes to your circle of friends, that's why to my brother she stay sleep that promotes agency. You start looking at freeing yourself first. Deeming what is important, what isn't. What is worth fighting for. Then that radiates in similar peers. Because if you have people who support you in your endeavors, the low times, the great times, those will be your pillars. Those are your anchors to help you heal, to keep you upright, keep you steady, which establishes trust. A lot of us are fearful of trusting ourselves. And I admit there was a point in time, or there are times in my life where I don't. But that's when you start remembering. I am a testament of resilience. And I've had some serious lows, as many of us have. But the fact that you're still here listening to my voice is a reminder you're still fighting. Spiritual warfare is ongoing. Do not worry about the rumors of wars. The war within is always being waged. Are you willing to win? And when you're able to do that, that's when you start stepping outside of your comfort zone. I've always made mention, never allow your comfort zone to become your coffin. Now, granted, for a while, I stayed off to myself. I need to slow the brain down when it comes to overthinking. But you see, I'm back here doing my thing. Taking time out for yourself to heal yourself. Gives you the energy to go out there and kick ass and take names. But I don't live vicariously online. I prefer to get outside. Walk around a little bit. Feel the sun on my face. That's what we need to get back into. That's why I put videos out there about going to the gym. This is for show. It's in the pursuit of growth. It's in the pursuit of healing myself interpersonally, mentally. It feels good, even though I'm getting my ass kicked on a regular basis. When you look in the mirror, you start seeing those significant changes, starting to see some definition. Start seeing that growth. It's reassuring. It's motivating. But this isn't just limited to physical fitness. It's about in all areas of life. Socially, interpersonally, finance. As far as your home, your dwelling. I support you guys to take the time to look around your space. If it is unbecoming to your standards, you do have a chance and a choice to fix it. Certain people need to go. Spring cleaning isn't limited to spring. You can add it late, early, or overdue. But you need to get rid of the clutter, and not just in your conversations, but in your community, what's left of it. But more importantly, you need to get outside. While people online have monetized mediocrity, you need to monetize in every moment that you can. This is the time where you start becoming your own man, your own woman. Start adding value to the tables that you come to. It's a beautiful thing to give. Not just the fruits of your labor physically, but spiritually. Nuggets of truth that people help me and feed me in many ways. This is supposed to be a table of thought. This is how communities start manifesting. They're maintained, they're protected. It is addressing this. So that being said, you guys let me know what you think. On the comment section, leave a message in the end. Or if you have any show topics, let me know. Now, salute to my brothers out there who are doing the damn thing. Consider these things, even the women too. When it comes to warding yourselves of modern day dinner whores, it's a beautiful thing to sit around the table of life. And while you all are eating with the people that you vetted, and they bring great things and nourishing conversations and sustenance to your life, you can feel that joy building up within you. It's like, you know what, I like to maintain this shit, not just for myself, but for the next generation. This is how we start breaking generational curses. Starting with shattering the chains within here and here. So with that being said, salute to you guys. And you can always hit me at my email at genuinearticle75@gmail.com. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep kicking ass and taking names. Semper Fi. You guys be careful out there. Peace.